On May 18, 1967, Brian Epstein signed an agreement for the Beatles to represent Britain on Our World, a groundbreaking live television broadcast that would be transmitted globally via satellite on June 25th. To mark this historic event, the Beatles decided to perform All You Need Is Love, a song written by John Lennon, and showcase parts of it live. The recording of All You Need Is Love commenced on June 14, 1967, at Olympic Sound Studios, continuing at EMI Studios, Abbey Road, on June 19th. By June 21st, a mono mix was prepared, which likely served as a reference for orchestrator George Martin to score the piece. On June 17th, Mike Vickers, a member of Manfred Mann, was enlisted to arrange the orchestra, as George Martin was facing personal constraints. Vickers was also tasked with conducting the orchestra during rehearsals and the live performance, as Martin was occupied with producing the session on the day of the broadcast. Vickers completed the orchestral score on June 22nd. Between June 23rd and 24th, the Beatles and a 13-piece orchestra, featuring 4 violins, 2 cellos, 2 tenor saxophones, 2 trombones, 2 trumpets, an accordion, and a flugelhorn, rehearsed at Abbey Road Studio 1. On June 25, the day of the live broadcast, the Beatles and the orchestra began rehearsals at 2 p.m., which included testing the transmission with the BBC crew. The technical setup involved an outside broadcast van in the EMI Studios car park, which transmitted the signal globally via the Intelsat I Early Bird, Intelsat 2 Lana Bird, and ATS-1 satellites. The atmosphere was one of frenzied energy, with the studio filled with balloons and floral displays as the band prepared for the momentous performance. At 8:54 p.m. London time, the live performance began. Producer George Martin and engineer Geoff Emerick, seeking to calm their nerves, had a drink of scotch before the broadcast and had to quickly conceal the bottle when they were informed the transmission was about to start 40 seconds earlier than anticipated. Despite extensive rehearsals throughout the weekend, the Beatles were visibly nervous as the broadcast time drew near. John Lennon, usually calm, was smoking heavily and sipping milk, despite George Martin's warnings about its effect on his voice. Meanwhile, Paul McCartney seemed outwardly confident but with a nervous smile, and Ringo Starr and George Harrison appeared the most composed, though subtle tension was evident in their body language. As the broadcast time approached, Paul McCartney took some time to fine-tune his bass sound in the control room with Geoff Emerick. This breakaway from the main group provided a sense of calm before the performance. Geoff Emerick recalls the tension in the control room as they were informed they were about to go live. With no time for hesitation, he and Martin scrambled to hide their scotch glasses before the camera could catch them. Despite the last-minute panic, George Martin regained his composure, donned a white suit, and directed the performance as it went on air. The broadcast was directed by Derek Burrell Davis, the head of the BBC's Our World project. As the Beatles performed live, friends and notable figures such as Mick Jagger, Eric Clapton, and Keith Richards sat in the studio, creating a communal atmosphere that reflected the Beatles' status among their peers. Following the release of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, Jagger, clad in a striking psychedelic silk coat, was present among the group of friends and acquaintances gathered to watch. As the performance unfolded, Mick was caught enjoying the moment, puffing on a massive joint in front of the 400 million viewers worldwide, a truly surreal moment in rock and roll history, adding an extra layer of vibrant chaos to an already electric atmosphere. The segment, lasting just over 4 minutes, was one of the most rehearsed, spontaneous performances in history. Despite a few technical hiccups such as a temporary loss of video signal, the performance went smoothly. John Lennon, despite his nervousness, delivered a powerful vocal, and the orchestra, though miming, performed flawlessly. After the broadcast, John Lennon re-recorded some of his vocal parts, and Ringo Starr added a snare drum roll to the song's introduction. These overdubs were added to Take 59, which would become the final version of the track. All You Need Is Love was mixed the following day, June 26, 1967, and Rush released as a single on July 7th with Baby, You're a Rich Man as the B-side. The broadcast reached an estimated 400 million people across 24 countries, marking a historic moment in both music and global television. Paul McCartney later reflected on the significance of the event, comparing it to a global unifying moment akin to Live Aid, emphasizing the power of love and peace in bringing people together.